I am super excited to have the opportunity to meet you, but to also share these very exciting news. And I'm so excited for you for like this next chapter of your life because my God, is it amazing? So I'm not going to jinx, we have to also be aware the baby has not been born yet.
He is not here
Um,
yet.
but I am so excited to talk about this with you and hear your journey and what led you to this and everything under the sun. So, Mallory, welcome to Conversations with Cam.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and I'm so excited to share because I have not shared any of it. And that's been really hard because I feel like I'm so open on my Instagram. I'm like such an open book, and that's something that's important to me. But my husband and I, chose to kind of keep this to ourselves until he is here and healthy. So getting to the end, it's like eating me alive that I can't share. So I'm so excited for this all to just be like out in the open. I'm going to be an open book. I want to be like a go-to for everybody who has questions. That's kind of like the person I am. So it feels really good to be able to talk about it.
I cannot imagine keeping because and this is very specific for a unique demographic of people who are content creators, like
Yeah.
keeping something like that to yourself because I'm assuming people in your actual life know that this is happening.
Yes.
But I also respect it so fucking much and honestly like wish there are parts of me that I wish I had waited until the very end to share about my pregnancy, but also as when you're like being filmed all the time, that's kind of
Yes.
hard.
Yes.
But I love that you've like set that boundary and created a space for you and your husband and your loved ones to go through this on your own before sharing with everyone. So for people who are listening are like, what the fuck are they talking about? Mallory is expecting a child while we're recording this through
Yes.
surrogacy. And I actually have a very good friend who's also in the process right now. She will have her twin boys in like 2 months, I believe. And I've had someone else on the show talking about surrogacy. So it's a topic that I'm very interested in and I think needs more airtime because
Yeah.
many people go through the process. I want to rewind to like the beginning.
Yeah. Good place to
What,
start.
yeah, like what was your initial journey with fertility and what led you to going the route of surrogacy?
Okay, great place to start. And I do feel like my story is unique. I mean, there's so many people trying to conceive, there's so many people going down the road to motherhood that obviously I'm sure there are a lot of stories that sound similar to mine, but it feels unique to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I was diagnosed with a rare inflammatory autoimmune disease when I was 14. So summer before high school, everything goes to shit. It is something that has impacted my life every day since. So it's just kind of a constant for me is having health obstacles, factoring that into my life and the decisions I make. So the conversation around having kids, even from when I was first diagnosed, it was always a fluid kind of situation and conversation. So these words of IVF, surrogacy, they were things that came up over the years of these might be possibilities. So I definitely wasn't shocked when ultimately we decided that that was the safest road for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but, I still think that I was holding on hope for this kind of normal process and getting pregnant naturally. But as I got older, I feel like the conversation obviously became more real. We were having these conversations more in depth after I got married. And we got married the month before COVID, so February 2020.
Oh my God.
So for a
Thank
while, it
God.
was, I know, we snuck it in at the last minute. But for a while, it was like, how can we keep Mallory healthy? So, COVID was all around because of drugs that I'm on for my autoimmune disease. I'm immunocompromised and they really didn't want me getting COVID. So, COVID was definitely taken very seriously in this household. Um, and I feel like as we started to get out of COVID and that worry could kind of fall to the side,
Mm-hmm.
the next thing was like Ben and I were ready. We were ready to have kids. I don't think we knew what it was going to look like. And we started to have the conversation more seriously with my doctors. So I was first diagnosed in New Jersey, New York at Columbia Children's. And then I moved out here when I was 18. But my main doctor is still in New York. And New Yorkers, they definitely get to the point. There's no beating around the bush. And I finally had a doctor look at me and say, like, I don't recommend it, and I don't think this is safe for you. And this isn't my unique situation in my disease, where I'm at with my disease. That's not to say that nobody with an autoimmune disease can't get pregnant naturally
Right.
or carry. But for me, he was just like, look, you're playing with fire, and I can't sit here and tell you I think it's a good idea. So he didn't bring up surrogacy because, as you know, and you're familiar with it, it's not an option for 99% of people. It is outrageously expensive. Insurance very, 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 very rarely covers it or plays a part in it. And so we had talked about it privately. My family had talked about it privately. And in that situation, I just looked at him and I was like, what about surrogacy? And you could just see him immediately like take a deep breath and relax, because I'm his patient, and he wants to keep me healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And me carrying a baby was going to put that in jeopardy. It's emotional, it was
Of
hard
course.
to hear.
I'm sure. And
But I'm someone that I've had to do what's best for me, and put myself and my health first for the last 16 years. I think I did the math right.
yeah.
And it was just like another lesson in that. It was like, this is hard to hear. This is normal to feel this way. But at the end of the day, I need to move forward and do what's right for me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the decision at that point was pretty clear, like I could see it in his face, like he didn't want me to carry.
Right. And I think that, again, I obviously can't speak from my own experience, but when it comes to medical stuff, almost having that clarity of decision where it's not on you anymore can sometimes be this relief of like, just fucking tell me what to do. If you're a
Totally.
doctor, just give me the
Totally.
answer. I just want an answer.
I
And
know.
and once you were told, or once he said, I don't think it's a good choice for you to carry a child, and you wanted to go the route of surrogacy, what were those, like, what was the journey like for you of deciding, okay, we're going to do this,
Yeah.
to then, doing the treatment for the egg retrieval? Like, what was that entire journey like for you?
Yeah. So found out in August in New York City, bawled my eyes out, went to sleep, and woke up and was like, all right, let's do it. I just feel like that's totally who I am, and all that I've been through. Like, I feel like I'm a fighter. I'm just like, feel the feelings. This is normal. Get it out. Feel bad for yourself. And now let's move forward.
Yep.
And I moved through things really fast. My husband was like, wait, let me catch up. But he was like right behind me. He's literally the best. And I think he also knew, marrying me, that I was not normal and that things were always going to be kind of different. So he was up for the challenge of me in so many ways.
I feel that.
Yeah. So I think I woke up the next morning and I was like, let's move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I luckily had a friend who actually is another creator. Her name is JC Dupree. I don't know if you know her.
I don't.
She's great. She's like an OG blogger.
Wait, JC Marie?
Dupree.
Oh, I was going to say, I know JC Marie Smith. Okay, JC Dupree. No, I do not, but I'll look her up.
New one for you. She had just had a baby via surrogacy, and she was someone that I totally trusted, had asked for recommendations before for business related things and personal things. And I was really lucky that I had her, because, again, also my decision to not share publicly, I am not someone that does well with like an influx of information. Like, too much information for me is too much information. Like,
Same.
It's not better. And I really wanted to be conscious of like where I was getting my information and from who. and not get it from everyone and anyone. So that was also the decision to kind of keep it to myself. It was like, my community is the best. They're going to want to share like their sister's cousin's journey.
Right.
And that's beautiful. But for me, I'm going to get overwhelmed. So I had a friend. I went straight to her. I said, like, what did you do? What was the process? Where do I begin? And she had such a great journey, and she's local. She lives in LA. So that was great as well. And she basically gave us the name of the agency, told us like the way the process went. And we probably contacted the agency like a few days later to just meet the founder and hear about how it worked and to see if we felt comfortable with them. So that was kind of where it all began. It began like really quickly after we got the news, because I was ready to be a mom and I was eager, and I knew that the process could take a while. So I was like,
Right.
we got to get on it. So we got on it. Excuse me. We talked to the founder of the agency. She was amazing. They've been around for a very, very long time. And we put our name on the list. So there's a wait list. There's a lot of, and all of this is in my experience. Like, I think that it can look different for a lot of different people, but for us, this is how it went. We put our name on the wait list. They told us it was going to be like anywhere from 8 months to a year to match with someone. And then we kind of shifted focus to like, let's get these eggs out. Let's make.
Right. Because can you do that while you're on the wait list?
Yes,
Okay.
totally. Because you have time.
Right.
So I think some people might like already have gone through that before they sign up, but I was like, I know we're going to have, up to a year. So let's get our name on the wait list. Let's get this ball rolling, and then let's shift focus and make little embryos. So,
And what was the egg retrieval process and embryo making? I don't know if that's the correct terminology. What was
I
that
like it.
process like for you?
For me, it was very smooth. I've obviously been through a lot. I'm just like, things don't really faze me from a medical standpoint. It's 2 weeks of your life that you just like have to block out. I am lucky that I work for myself, so that wasn't an issue. But like, you're going in every other day,
Right.
getting blood work, getting an ultrasound, doing the shots. But luckily, it was very, very smooth. My husband, again, is so helpful and is just the best. He did the shots for me. Like, living life with an autoimmune disease, like, you shouldn't have to be the patient, the care, like the everything. I feel like I am very good at being the patient and letting people help. You know what I mean? So Ben
Yeah.
was the nurse. Like, I wasn't giving myself the shots. I wasn't preparing the medication. I wasn't taking notes when they were explaining like the IVF medication and what the next 2 weeks would look like. I feel like it's enough to be the patient sometimes.
Totally. You need
And
someone to be the advocate.
yeah, and if you're lucky enough to like have a team, give them jobs and let them help. I feel like I have people that reach out to me over DM all the time, and they're like, how do you manage? And I'm like, I manage by leaning on my people. Like, there's no chance I could do it all. Like, I can't be on the
Absolutely.
phone with the insurance company, taking notes in every doctor's appointment, all while feeling sick. Like, it's just too much for one person. So Ben was great. He did the shots. He was the nurse. And we were lucky enough to get 5 great healthy embryos.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was really, we were very lucky. And we asked if there was at least one boy and one girl. I didn't want to know the breakdown. I was like, is there at least one boy and one girl? She said yes. Because I had a friend who had 8 healthy embryos, and she said, is there at least one boy and one girl? And they said no. And she was like, all girls. And they were like, no.
Oh my God. Aprils.
All boys. You have all boys. She was like,
Oh.
okay, that'll be fun. So one boy, one girl. We didn't want to pick the gender, so we didn't do that. And in our mind, it was 50-50. I was like, if they tell me it's 4 girls and 1 boy, I'm going to convince myself it's a girl.
Right. You don't want to know.
No, I was just like, this was also a theme of like injecting normalcy where I could. And for me, when someone's getting pregnant naturally, like 50-50 shot.
Right.
So for us, you're putting in the embryo, like gender wise, 50-50 shot. We didn't want to know. So that
That's
was like,
actually a great idea for like the trying to add in the normalcy aspect, because I also feel from what I've observed of friends that have gone the route of IVF is it can feel so clinical and medical and like strategic almost.
yeah,
And so I think that's a really great little tidbit of like,
yeah,
let's try to make this as quote unquote normal as possible, or
yeah,
like what we've heard about pregnancy being.
right.
Um, so once you're matched with a surrogate? Is it
Yeah.
like you get matched with someone and then you feel each other out and you decide you want to move forward with this person? Or is it like you've been matched and that is your person?
So the the first. So basically
Okay.
you fill out like a bunch of forms about what you're looking for in a surrogate. For my husband and I, we weren't like so specific because
Mhm.
I felt like it was going to be a feeling like of I
Right.
trust this person feels good to me, and less like on paper this is what we want. Something that was important to us was that they were within like 2 hours
I
driving,
was just going to ask where she
yeah,
is.
three
Okay.
hours driving. She's 2 hours from us because, again, from like a normalcy side and from a connection side too, we wanted to be like really present in the process. So we wanted to go to doctor's appointments with her. We wanted to be at the ultrasounds. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted them to hand me
Mhm.
the photos and I wanted to come home and I wanted to put them on my fridge. So
Right.
that was something that was definitely important to us. Outside of that, I don't think we put too many other things. So we got a match. We were, it was about probably like 8 months, I feel like, after we put our names on the wait list. We got a match. We read about her. She read about us. And then they basically ask if you're willing to meet them in person, if they sound good on
Mhm.
paper. She sounded great on paper. We were really excited to meet her. So then I think in COVID, maybe it moved to Zoom meetings, and they still do that now. So it was a Zoom meeting. It's you, it's the surrogate, it's her partner or her support system, it's the head of the agency, and it's who would be your case manager, like who would run point on your case.
Mhm.
And they kind of dictate where the conversation goes. They give you questions, they ask you why you're doing it, they ask you what you do, just questions that will shed some light on who you are
Yeah.
and why you're doing it to the other person, because it is like a mutual match situation. Like, we totally have to trust her and feel good about her. And I feel like she has to look at us and be like, these are people that I want to give
Of
this
course.
ultimate gift to.
Yeah.
And so we met via Zoom. We chatted for like about an hour, and then they have you sleep on it. And then you get back to them in the morning and basically say whether or not you feel like it's a match. And we knew it was a match. She was like, oh, she's an angel. We're obsessed with them.
I mean, surrogates are truly God's gift. Like I can't imagine doing something more selfless.
No,
Like I don't think anything exists. Um, So truly wonderful humans for doing
one,
this.
yeah, I mean, my heart could like burst into a million pieces. They're givers. They're like these selfless, sweet, amazing people that, I mean, I obviously could not be more appreciative
Mhm.
of. So yeah, she was, I mean, her and her partner are the best.
And what has this journey been like for you in terms of I was speaking about this with a friend of, pregnancy or becoming a parent really is the ultimate feeling of a part of you living outside your body
Mm-hmm.
and this constant emotion of like a mix of fear and love and so many things of just wanting to protect that being.
Yeah.
And I almost feels from an outsider's perspective that surrogacy is like you're feeling that before a typical pregnant person does because
It's,
for a pregnant person who's carrying the child, that feeling almost happens when the baby comes out, because like suddenly they're not in you 24/7. It's like, oh my God, I have to protect this person. They're not with me all the time.
Yeah.
But I feel surrogacy is the first true test of that, of like this constant feeling of wanting to protect something that is a part of you living outside of your body. Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense?
It's funny, I've never like had that thought,
Yeah.
but I feel it. Like I totally understand what you're saying. I think that for us, we trust them.
Mm-hmm.
We're pretty laid back people. And I think something that sets kind of like our journey apart from people that turn to surrogacy from infertility is
Yeah.
that we didn't experience like trauma. Like
That's
I
also very true.
it's a really interesting thing
Mm-hmm.
because we were reading some of the paperwork that they give you when you start the surrogacy process, and it was like things to keep in mind about the surrogate and how they might be feeling, and then for the surrogate, things to keep in mind about the intended parents, which is what they call us. um, and one of the things for her was that if the parents are being like nosy or anxious or asking a lot of questions, like it's coming from a place of they've seen it go badly,
Mm-hmm.
and they've sat there and they've gotten bad news. And so they've never seen it go well.
Yeah.
And that's where so much of the anxiety is coming from. And so our case manager said to Ben and I, she was like, "You two are like the most relaxed." And I was like, one, yes, we're relaxed people. You know, like that's in us. That's who we are most of the
Mm-hmm.
time. But I said, but also like, we don't have that trauma that we're
Right.
bringing with us into this room. Like, we are a blank slate. Like, we're sitting here, and I know that it can go, you know, of course there's worry. Like, and I sit there and
Mhm.
all I want them to say is like, the heartbeat's strong.
Of
But
course.
I haven't sat there and gotten bad news and I have, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
it's,
thinking about like my friends who have been through this journey, and I have multiple.
yeah,
They've beforehand experienced multiple losses, which I think pregnancy or surrogacy, that sets you up for that, like waiting for the other shoe to drop kind of
yes,
feeling.
yes.
Um,
So I think we've
so yes.
been fairly relaxed. It's like a beautiful process, and I am so grateful to be in it. Like, I feel so fortunate, but it also is like a means to an end. Like, I do
Mhm.
feel like I was putting a lot of pressure on myself when we first started to be like so present, to like be building that connection and just always be thinking about it. And then I realized, like, you know what? If 2 weeks go by and I don't think about it, it's 2 weeks closer to the end for me. And that's where I'm trying to get, you know, like, of course, it's a beautiful process and we've enjoyed it, but like,
Mhm.
we're trying to get to the finish line. We're trying to bring this healthy, sweet baby
Right.
home. And so if there are 2 weeks that go by that we are not thinking about it, it's 2 weeks closer. So I felt like I kind of took that pressure off of myself to be thinking about it constantly,
Mhm.
because it made time go faster.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
Well,
there
and
was,
those 9 months can feel like forever, and then also like one blink.
yeah, the end
What
has felt long.
the end yeah, yes. The
Every
end
day, I'm
feels
like, I check
really
my
long.
phone because I'm like, I want her to call.
Right.
I'm
The
like,
end feels very
how
long.
you feeling?
Hello.
I'm like,
Um,
anything happening?
what has been I'm curious also, because you have such a positive outlook on the experience, like what has been the most beautiful part of this experience?
That's a good question. I can tell you the hardest part first.
That was my next question, but I was trying to start off with the positive note. But yes,
Yeah,
of course, I
I'm
also
such a
want to know.
positive girl. Let's start with the negative for once. Um, the hardest part that kind of like took me by surprise was the transfer. It was a really hard
Interesting.
day. I was
Okay.
expecting it to be like beautiful. And it was really hard to sit there as like a healthy person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Mhm.
to the eye on a daily basis, like, I feel good. Like, of
Mhm.
course, there's a lot of upkeep for my disease. And there are times when I don't feel good before surgery. But like on a daily basis, like, I'm a pretty healthy person.
And it's an
And
invisible handicap of sorts.
totally.
Mhm.
So to sit there and feel that way, like to feel healthy, and then to watch them put the thing you've wanted most in your whole life into someone you've just met is really a trippy thing.
I'm sure.
Quite trippy. I think you have a feeling of, is this my life? Like, how is this real?
Yeah.
Because it's
Like the
like
pullback, like watching it almost from above.
totally, and just panic
Mhm.
of like, okay, we did it. What did we just do? And knowing that you like can't undo it and
Well, I
just
think that's
second guessing it.
also it's also that in the sense of when you're trying to get pregnant, if you're having a pregnancy without any like assistance, if
Yeah,
it's the like you're just having sex and the baby is made, there's no real like I don't know if it's the scientific is the word, but you're not in your head as much thinking about it because you're kind of focused on like having sex.
yeah,
And so I feel like when you're watching it in that way, I'm sure I would imagine there are a lot of emotions of like, holy shit, we're doing this. Holy shit, this is real. Oh my God, like this is going to end in a child. Does that make sense?
totally. No, makes perfect sense. And I actually think that like each part that is crazy, you think to yourself, this would be crazy if I was carrying the baby. Like the
Hmm.
feelings that I'm having now of like obviously anxiety, like going into the birth and the delivery are slightly different from if I was carrying, but
Right.
like they are the same.
Yeah.
So, yes, 100%. It is just in front of your eyes, and you are like, holy shit, what are we doing?
Can I ask you a question? And I don't know if this is too invasive, but I'm just curious how people navigate this in terms of surrogacy.
Yeah,
Like, have you had to face a lot of people if you mention, like, oh, I'm having a baby? And they're like, I just imagine this is a fear I actually have
yeah,
for my friends going through this
yeah,
who have experienced infertility on the front end of it. So
yeah.
it's obviously like, and I'm sure it's a very sensitive subject to anyone who ends up in the surrogacy route. But, I hate nothing more than society's willingness and just like blatant disrespect for their need to comment on females' bodies
Mm,
during pregnancy and after pregnancy. It's as if they like suddenly have the right to tell you everything they think about your body because you are carrying and or had a child. And I almost imagine this happening of like being with a small baby. And I already can see the people doing the up and down look like you just had a baby. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And going through that route, like, has that happened to you beforehand of when you're saying, oh, I'm having a son,
yeah.
the confusion in people's faces and then that conversation?
Of course, of course. It is actually like I always say it's like a social experiment.
Yeah.
I can't get the word surrogacy out fast enough before I see people's eyes go to my stomach.
No, right away. Right
It's
fucking away.
it's so crazy. It's so crazy. And I don't take offense or blame them at all. I think it's just like somehow ingrained in us to like look down. So I
Mhm.
don't like take it personally, but I find it so interesting. I'm
It's
like,
really
oh,
interesting.
there their eyes went. It's like without a doubt. But
No,
I
without a doubt, and it
with
happens after you have a kid too.
every
If
time
you say you have like, if my child's not with me and I say, "Oh, I just had a baby," they're like, "When?" And I'm like, "Oh, 3 months ago." Immediate
they
body
look
check,
down, it's
full body
what are
gaze,
they
and I'm like,
checking for?
"I'm
You're
sorry,
like, I
do I
feel
fit your like, what you were looking for?"
I feel violated.
"No, eyes up here, please, sir."
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
It's wild. I definitely say like, oh my God, we're actually having a baby via surrogacy.
got it.
because I think that it's like natural for them to be confused, and I just
Mm-hmm.
would rather give them information up front than like have them be super confused because it's
Right.
confusing. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
I
having
get
a
it.
baby in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and like, like it's. I don't think it's fair to do that to someone. Just
No,
leave them in
agreed.
utter confusion. But I cannot get the word surrogacy out fast enough before their eyes
Yeah.
have moved, which is like 100% something I've noticed. It's quite interesting. I actually feel like a little bit of, silver lining is that I'm going to be pushing the stroller. And I guess it's just open for people to be like, you just had a baby, you look
Oh, it's gonna
amazing.
be nonstop.
But like,
Nonstop.
I kind of feel like I'm excited. I'm like, I'm sort of excited because I'm like, I'm just gonna that I'm not giving any explanation. No way. That I'm gonna say thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm
Well,
gonna
I
say
also think,
thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
look, the silver lining, I think there's so many freaking hard things about surrogacy that
Yes,
people go through that end in that result. Silver
a hundred
lining,
percent.
you will be physically
Yeah,
feeling good.
physically and mentally, like coming at it from like a solid place.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think mentally, it's going to be challenging for so many reasons. Being a new mom is challenging,
Yeah.
but like hormones, for example, like are not playing a part in all of that.
Yes, I actually will love to keep in touch with you during postpartum because
Yeah,
it'll just, I think, be an interesting conversation and experience to go through the process without the added hormones.
yes. And
Um,
I was, I'm someone that definitely like runs anxious, like
mhm.
for sure. Um, and I feel like that was a worry of mine, like I do so much to take care of myself and my mental
Yeah.
health, and I go to therapy and all these things. But I feel like I would have been worried about that
Mhm.
aspect. I still am. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
It's yeah.
but at least I know that it's me.
Mhm.
Like if it does come into play and things do need to be addressed, like they need to be addressed because I'm having anxiety and not because everything's out of whack and this isn't like
Right.
even who I am at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you most excited for when it comes to parenting? Has anyone ever asked you that?
Like everything. I am so excited to have one. My sister has two, and I think I'm so excited to have one. And eventually we'll want more, but like I'm so excited to just like soak up one sweet little baby and like
Yeah.
have the two of us be able to just like dote on this little boy. I'm excited for the summer. I'm like excited for like 7 p.m. walks,
Mhm.
like around our neighborhood. And to
This
like,
is when I had my first son.
oh, really?
End of May.
Oh my God, maybe they'll have the same birthday.
I know. It's a great
Is
time to
he a
to
crazy
have a
Gemini
baby.
boy?
He's like the first day of Gemini, and I was everyone on the internet was like, "Don't have a Gemini, don't have a Gemini." And I was like, "I don't know what you want me to do. The baby's in there."
Yeah.
And so I actually got induced because I was in labor, not because I didn't want a Gemini.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God.
so he's like the ultimate cusp. He's 3 hours into Gemini,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, I like I'm not into what is
No,
it,
me neither.
astrology
But people are
horoscopes.
like,
Some people are very intense about Geminis, and
they're
I
like,
guess
you're having a
I
Gemini?
see parts of it in him, but
Yeah.
then otherwise, like not at all.
Yeah. My dad is a Gemini boy, and he is like the most even keeled, coolest guy ever.
Yeah, my
I'm
son
like,
is a 70-year-old man in a 3-year-old's body,
I
and
love,
everyone who meets him will tell you that. It's
I
the
love,
first thing everyone says when they meet him.
I really love that
They're
for
like,
him
"This is
and
an
for
old
you.
man," and I'm like, "Yes, yes, it is. He is."
I want like an
Uh,
example.
He well, we really think he's my grandpa reincarnated, and, like, this is an ongoing thing, and it's,
Okay.
like, gotten to kind of a weird point of things he'll say, but, like, he is just so emotionally intelligent, which I don't think anyone would ever use the terms to describe a toddler, but,
Right.
like, we all feel this way, like, everyone in my life, and he's such a lover, and he's very aware of how people feel, and so, like, even with his toys, he's obsessed with like, "Mommy, this toy's smiling." Like, "Oh my gosh, they're so happy." And then the car will have eyes that kind of look angry. And he's like, "Why do you think this car is angry, Mommy? I wonder what happened that made it feel so sad and angry." Like,
Oh,
very into emotions. And then we'll just say things where he'll I'm trying to like it'll be nice out and we'll walk outside and he'll look at me and go, "Wow, it's such a gorgeous day." And I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I
And he's like,
love that.
"This it's so beautiful outside." Or like he'll get in bed and be like, "I had such a great day today, Mommy. I love you so much." I'm like, "You're not real." And my sister and I joke, like my older sister,
Yeah.
she's like, "I feel like people look at me like I have 10 heads when I tell them stories about your child because I understand that they're like, there's no way this is real. There's no way this kid is saying this. There's no way." And she's like, "I feel like a crazy person telling them because I understand there's no possible way that they believe me, but like I wish they could observe it." And I'm like, "No, this is how I feel every day." Like he looked at our baby the other day, he was crying, and he kind of, like, pays no attention to our second, like,
Yeah.
honestly acts like he's not there. Like,
Okay.
it's as if he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Once a week, he pays attention to him, and it's the best moment of my week. Um, and our baby was crying, and he's obsessed with watching our toddler, just, like, tracks him all day long. And so I'm like,
So
"Buddy, look,
sweet.
he's looking at you, like, do you wanna say anything?" And as soon as our toddler looks at him, our baby smiles and laughs, and our toddler gets so excited, whatever. So he's like, "Don't worry, you don't have to cry. You'll never be sad again. I'm always here, brother." And I was like, What just happened?"
You're like, did you hear this on a TV show?
No, literally. So then I start hysterically crying, and he's also obsessed with the concept of happy tears. He wants to rub my eyes when I cry happy tears. He like
Oh.
if he says something really sweet, he turns to me and goes, "Mommy, are you crying happy tears?" And I'm like,
Oh.
"Great." Now he has this expectation anytime he says anything nice.
He should come to my
Um,
house.
yeah.
I have tears all the time.
So he's just this old soul
I
in
love him.
a toddler form. But anyway, back to the parenting aspect. What you said about like having one
Yeah.
is such a magical experience that I wish we all had. Like, I've been trying to figure out how to word this after having a second is like that time for me, I wish I could go back and have again because I was someone who really struggled with my mental health.
Yeah.
And it was such intense one-on-one opportunity that I think I took advantage of, but I also was very dulled personally because of my mental struggles that I was experiencing, and
Yeah.
there was a bunch of other stuff happening. And the second time around, I don't have those mental health struggles, but you simply can't give the same attention because you suddenly now have another child to care
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
Um, but like that time in our lives where you're really in this bubble and it's just the three of you is so special and heartwarming. And I still cry when I think about it and look at photos because it's such a unique and important period of your life.
Yeah.
And like, there's truly nothing better than holding that child and like getting to know them.
Isn't it a crazy thing? Like my friends that have all their children are like, you haven't met like the loves of your life yet.
No, it's
And like,
truly
isn't that
unlike anything to
crazy? Like
explain.
you're
Yeah.
looking at me and you're like, you don't even know them.
And I think what's hard about parenting and talking about parenting is it's really easy to like state the hard parts for
Yeah.
people to understand. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard
Of
being needed
course.
24/7 and like being touched out and, all of that. And I think that's easier to conceptualize, but it's hard to conceptualize the highs until you've really experienced that feeling because I don't think there are words for it.
I I totally get that. I had a friend, one of my best friends in the world, just had a baby, and she was like, "I think you had like even a tenth of the feeling because Ben and I have a dog that we're obsessed with."
Yes.
And I know the feeling from her of just like looking at her and being like, "I would literally die for you." I'm like so in love with her.
Mhm.
And I know that she's a dog. Like I'm not one of those people that is like thinks she's a human. Like I
No,
do
but I
think she's a
understand.
human.
I have a dog and I had a dog before kids, so I
Yeah.
get it.
You get like I get that your heart is like capable of doing things that you
Mhm.
didn't know it could do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like because of the way I
I
feel about my dog and I'm like and
No,
I
I used to
know
freak out and be like, I don't know how it's physically possible to love something more than you, to my dog.
yeah,
Even though I know I'm going to,
correct. But you don't know what
how
that
is that
feels like.
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like I don't even know how that's going to feel, but I
It's
know that it's
overwhelming.
possible and I know I'm going to feel it. But like you know what I mean? Like my friend was like, you like would look at Sadie and like be proud when she did something. Like
Yeah.
my friend never had a dog of her own, never had that feeling. So when
Mhm.
like her kid rolled for the first time, she was like, she couldn't believe the like pride, you know what I mean, that she felt.
Yes.
But she was like, you've probably like felt that about Sadie before. And I was like, I've totally felt that about Sadie.
Yeah, like,
You
you
know,
do
she's
feel
like,
it to a degree.
totally. Or you like, you know, she has something in her butt, like you're jumping up, being like, let me help you. Like I'm not like grossed out. Like she's my dog. She's my
You lose all
baby.
sense of being grossed out by things
Yeah.
with
So
kids. Like, there's just no boundary.
yeah, it's just like a dip your toe in, I feel like,
Mhm.
with a dog. But like I know my heart's like capable of things that like it hasn't even felt before.
Yes. What are you most nervous about in terms of parenting?
Um, so I'm not a morning person. So I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
But even more than that, I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be so excited to see him in the morning. It's gonna like turn me into not a morning person, but like I will jump out of bed like to like get
Mhm.
eyes on this sweet baby. Um, I think for me, it's like we obviously went through surrogacy to protect my health and to make
Mhm.
sure that I stayed healthy. And so I think for me, it's the lack of sleep. And it's like, how do I continue to prioritize myself and my health so that
Yeah.
I can show up and be there for everyone? Because I know that obviously my life's about to change. Like, I'm going to be getting a lot less sleep. My
Mhm.
sleep's going to be interrupted. And looking out for me while still like being a super present mother and super involved mother. So,
Yeah, you have to prioritize filling your cup and, like, also making sure that you're healthy,
yeah.
which is hard. I mean,
Yeah.
that's truly one of the hardest things about parenting, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And it's like, I think it's hard for so many, but for me, it's like, we're not messing around. Like,
Totally.
it's not going to be a good situation for anyone if I run myself into the ground.
Mhm.
Like, so, but I do think that it's something that we've like tried to think through and like make decisions even now for my future self in order
Right.
to protect her. And
Mhm.
so I feel like we are in a good position to get through it and handle it. But it's still like a worry of mine, like
Of
staying
course,
healthy.
and, you'll set all of these kind of, like, guidelines and
Yeah.
like a roadmap, and you'll adjust and you'll learn and you'll figure out
Yeah.
what works and you'll figure
Yeah.
out what you need more of, and
Like
it'll
being
be
tired it's hard. It's
yeah.
hard. I like always, Ben and I take a tennis lesson once a week. And
Mhm.
it's like you start the lesson and you're like, you know, John McEnroe, you're amazing. And by the end, I mean, balls are flying everywhere because you're exhausted. Like
Yeah.
you cannot perform to the best of your ability at anything when you're tired.
No. I mean,
And that
sleep
just,
deprivation is a form of torture for a very good reason.
yeah, that just stinks, you
Yeah.
know? Like I
Mhm.
love to be my best self. I really do. Like nothing makes me happier than going to bed at night being like, I was my best self today. I was on it. And so I think like not operating at 100% is going to be hard for me.
Yes, and I relate to that deeply,
Yeah.
but I will say, like, make sure you give yourself grace
Yeah.
because the reality is you're not gonna be at 100%
No.
for a while,
No.
and, just giving yourself some grace with that and realizing that you're not at 100% for a reason of your life was kind of like your life just got flipped on
Yeah.
its head.
Yeah.
And you'll get back to that version of you that feels
Totally.
100%.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll
One
happen.
day.
One day, like
Can you see
I'm
it?
reaching it. I'm close to it. Like I see the
I'm
light. It's so
aw,
close.
I'm so glad.
Um, but it takes
Yeah, it's hard.
time, you
And I
know,
just
and
think
also
yeah,
everyone's journey is so different time-wise.
totally. And I think your baseline changes.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just
Suddenly
think
I'm functioning on sleep I didn't
yeah.
think was even possible.
Yeah. Like your 100% that you're reaching for was probably your old 50%.
And also when you're at there was a TikTok I saw about this that was like,
Yeah.
if I am at 10% and I'm giving 10%, I'm giving 100% of what I have.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Right.
reality.
Right.
Um, well, I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to watch this new chapter unfold for you. And I'm so grateful that you came on here and felt comfortable sharing the journey. And I really am happy for you that you like created that space for yourself to go through this with your like family and close friends and loved ones and be in a place where then you feel confident sharing it with the world, because it's really important to like be able to digest these
Yeah.
things on our own. So for everyone who wants more of you and wants to support you, where is the best place that they can do so?
Definitely on Instagram. My handle is Mallory K Goldman. I mess around on TikTok from time to time, but I don't think it's the place for me.
Wait, why? I'm curious.
I just feel like I don't like leave TikTok feeling better. I feel like I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, I'm not doing enough.
Okay, fair. Yes.
I'm just like, oh my God, all these people doing all these things. Like,
It's
what?
a lot.
I'm just like, I think for me, it's like, it's just too much.
Hmm.
Too much. But like, sometimes we play around but mostly Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything will be linked in the show notes. Thank you so much. And again, we're recording this before the baby is born. So
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck with a smooth
Thank you.
delivery for your surrogate and a wonderful experience for you guys and a great first period of your first like postpartum, because this
Thank
will be
you.
out hopefully shortly after.
Thank you. We are so excited. I can't even put into words. The days are as long as they could ever be. We're just like dying to meet him.
The
So
end is so hard, but
it really
it'll
is.
happen before you know it.
Yeah, we're so excited. So thank you for having me on. I am so happy to get kind of the story out there and just normalize surrogacy for people that maybe don't know someone who's been through it or
Mhm.
see it as this like foreign thing, like, hi, I did it. And if anybody has questions or like is overwhelmed and doesn't even know where to start or the first step in like accepting that this is their
Yeah.
road, feel free to reach out because I've kept it a secret until now, but now it's out and I'm a total open book and open door policy like our
Well, thank
professors
you, because
used to
I
be.
know that that'll help a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's chat about it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So fun. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.